Notes for fraction word problems with adding and subtracting. When solving word problems, make sure to understand the question. Look for bits of information that will help to get to the answer. Keep in mind that some sentences may not have keywords, or keywords might even be misleading. Use common sense when thinking about how to solve word problems. Keywords to look for. Adding would be sum, total, more than, altogether, combined. For subtracting, we could see difference, less than, farther, how much, more. Example 1. Caleb bought 5 6-pounds of chocolate at Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory. Later, they went to the sweet shop and he bought 7/9 of a pound more chocolate. How much chocolate did he buy that day? Okay, so we want to know the total that he bought for that day. Okay, so this is how much he bought at both places. So how much chocolate did he buy that day indicates that we should add to find our answer. Okay, so we're going to add 5/6. Let's get this over a little bit. 5/6 plus 7/9. And we learned a few weeks ago there are a couple of different ways you can do this. I usually choose to do the butterfly method. I think it works a little bit easier. So for the butterfly method, we multiply 9 times 5, and we get that the answer for that is 45. Then we multiply 6 times 7. We get the answer for that is 42. Okay, we know that it's adding. Okay, so let's just don't forget that part. Then to find our new denominator, we multiply the two bottoms, so 6 times 9 is 54. So now we're going to put it all together. So we take the two numbers that we found at the top, and we do whatever sign was in the middle. So 45 plus 42 is equal to 87. Okay, and then 6 times 9 is 54. So now we need to simplify. So first we might think, well, we already know it is an improper fraction. So what we might do first is go ahead and divide, see how many times 54 can go into 87. So I know that it can go in one time. And we end up having 33 left over. So our answer is going to be 1 and 33 over 54. And you can try to think about if anything would divide evenly into 33 and 54. And you see that 3 is a common factor. So we're going to simplify this even more and get 1 and 11 over, so then 54 divided by 3 is 18. So 1 and 11 over 18, and it can't be simplified any more than that. All right, example 2. If Progresso soup weighs 15.5 ounces and Campbell's soup weighs 12 3/4 ounces, how much more does Progresso soup weigh? So how much more tells us that it's going to be subtraction. Okay? Because we were just told that Progresso soup has more ounces than Campbell's, so now we want to know their difference. So we're going to say 15.5 subtract 12 3/4. Now you can use the butterfly method on this one as well, but because of the bigger whole numbers, you would have to change them to improper fractions before you could use the butterfly method. So I'm just going to use the common denominator method. So I know that 4 is a common denominator for 2 and 4. So I'm going to change this to make us have the common denominator. Well, 2 times 2 is 4. 1 times 2 is 2. So we have 2 over 4. But 2 cannot subtract 3 without giving a negative number. So we need to borrow a whole from this 15. So we make this a 14. Okay, and now that we have a whole, well, whatever the denominator was, we make that a whole to make a 1. Because we know 4 over 4 is equal to the 1 that we borrowed from here. So now this gives us 6 over 4. Okay, so 6 over 4 subtract 3 over 4 is going to give us 3 over 4. And 14 minus 12 is 2. So 2 3/4 is our answer. It cannot be simplified any more than that. Example 3. The total length of 2 rugs is 10 meters. If one rug is 5 7/8 meters, what's the length of the other rug? So we already know the total of 2 rugs, okay? We know one of the lengths is 5 7/8, but we want to know the other length. So those key words kind of tell us that it is going to be subtraction again. So we're going to have to say 10 whole. And what I might do is I might say, well, we know that 10 whole can also be changed to make a fraction. Because this is 5 7/8, we want this to have a fraction in it. So we know that if we change this to 9, this could be 9 and 8 over 8, which 8 over 8 plus 9 gives us the 10 we started with. We're going to subtract 7/8 from it. 8 minus 7 is 1/8, and 9 minus 5 is 4. So the answer would be 4 1/8. All right, so moving on to multiplying and dividing. Okay, so again, comes with the same directions as before. The key words to look for multiplying and dividing. You can times, of, twice, product, doubled, tripled. Divide could be split, cut, equal pieces, out of, shared, per. So I know these are keywords to look for. Every so often though, remember, some words you might see, you can't just automatically assume because you see the word of, it's always going to be a multiplication. It depends in what context it's used. So remember, as one of the keywords said, make sure you use your common sense for it. Okay, so for example 1, Jose had 3/4 gallon of paint and used only 1/2 of that for a project. How many gallons of paint did he use? Okay, so it's either going to be multiplying or dividing. Okay, he only had 3/4 of a gallon. Okay, he used half of it. Okay, so basically we need to take 3/4 and divide it into 2, which dividing 3/4 into 2 is the same as multiplying 3/4 as 1/2. So we're going to say 3/4 times 1/2, okay, which is going to give us 3 over 8. And 3 over 8 can't be simplified, so our answer is 3 over 8. Okay, so couple of key words you could have thought of. I would have thought that this one is a little bit tricky because I couldn't have automatically picked out keywords. I had to kind of think about it. Well, I knew that I had 3/4 and I knew that I wanted to split it in half. So 3/4 divided by 2, but 2 is not what I wanted to use. I wanted to use 1/2. So I know the same thing as 3/4 divided by the 2 means 3/4 times 1/2. because 1/2 and 2 are inverses of each other or reciprocals of each other. Okay, so let's look at example 2. A local chicken sandwich shop has 42 2/3 pounds of local chicken. How many 1/3 pound chicken sandwiches can be made? Okay, so this time we're given a total, and we want to know how many 1/3 pounds chicken sandwiches can be made. So that means we want to know how many 1/3 will go into 42 2/3. Okay, so that means we're going to divide to see how many total can go into that. So if we have 42 2/3 divided by 1/3. Okay, we first need to change this to a improper fraction. So 42 times 3 is 126. And then 126 plus 2 is 128. So we've got 128 over 3. Okay, then we're going to keep this the same. We're going to change division to multiplication, and we're going to flip the 3 over 1. Okay, so we know that we need to solve this. So 128 times 3 is 384. I'm going to put this up here because I know I'm going to need to simplify it. Divided by 3. Okay, if you knew this from the last notes we took about multiplication and division, because these two are across from each other and they both are 3, we can end up simplifying by just crossing them both out. Okay, but if you didn't know that, you could just simplify like you were supposed to, and 384 divided by 3 is 128. Okay. All right, one more. Example 3. A hippopotamus lives about 2 4/7 times as long as a tiger. A tiger lives an average of 16 years. How long does the average hippopotamus live? So that keyword times as long tells us we're going to multiply. Okay, so we've got 2 4/7 times 16 over 1 to make that a fraction. Okay, so 7 times 2 is 14. 14 plus 4 is 18. So we have 18 over 7 times 16 over 1. Okay, and 18 times 16 is 288. And 288 divided by 7. So 288 divided by 7 is going to be 41 1/7. Okay. So the hippopotamus lives 41 1/7 years long. All right, so this is the end of multiplying and dividing fractions. To view the homework, click on the next video.